This is Learning to Dad
I'm the cool dad. That's my thing.
with Tyler Ross.
But what I do have are a very particular set of skills.
I'm gonna have fun, and you're gonna have fun.
All right, Noah, thank you. Welcome to the podcast. Appreciate you taking the time. How are you today, man?
Oh, doing great. We actually got some sunshine today, so I'm kind of happy.
Yes. Where are you?
Long Branch, Washington, just south of Tacoma, Washington.
How have you been out there long?
Been out there since 30. When the heck did we come out here? 82,
Yeah.
83, somewhere around there. 84 maybe.
You're a
I
been there
lose.
now.
Yeah. We're, I guess you can say we're natives now.
Yeah, and you're working from home today. It looks like you got a cool house, like the West Coast thing going on with all the wood and the
Yeah.
beams.
It's kind of a quasi log cabin-ish type feel to it, and you know, I kind of live out in the woods, like I said, about 20 miles south of Tacoma, Washington, and it's nice out here. I got looking at my yard, just yelling at me. You know, we finally stops raining like one day out of 30. You got to run out there real quick and mow it, and then come back inside and wait for.
That's too funny. Oh man, well, so in this conversation, I hope to talk about your work. I hope to talk about your kids and how they blend together, and just being a father. I guess let's start with what you do for a living. It sounded unique, the description of it. I hate to butcher the paraphrasing of it, and I'll leave it to you to describe to anyone listening, what your day-to-day looks like.
Oh, basically, we started a business called myarkit.com, myarkit.com, and it was kind of started out of necessity to where we live our life now digitally, cradle to grave. Everything we have is, you take your phone, and every time I talk to somebody about this, it's like, if you held your phone up, how many pictures do you have on your phone? And a lot of people say, "Oh, I got thousands." Yeah, you got a whole bunch of them in there. But what happens is we never really put any memories or feeling behind what we're saving. We'll save it, but then we really don't really save it, because everything that goes up into a cloud, basically at some point, if you don't touch it for a while, will be deleted. So that basically is. There you go. Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that. 14,227 photos, 2,432 videos, and that's just today. By the end of the day, it'll be more.
Yeah. So basically, it was what we do is, it was out of necessity. It was back in about '97. I sat my dad down to do a video of him back in Iowa, where I grew up, and just asked him questions about his life when he was a kid. What did he do? Where'd you live? I knew he was a paper boy for a million years, and he was drafted into the Korean War. And how much was a gallon of milk? Where were you when you heard about the A-bomb going off over in Nagasaki or Hiroshima? And little things like that. Your first car, learn to ride a bike, and you find out all these really cool things about your dad. And then I did the same thing with my mom. And a couple years after that, he passed away, but I was able to burn a DVD. So I kind of thought, okay, I have the DVD for the family. Well, my kids are now kind of getting a little older. Now you got to find the DVD.
And then I found player to stick it in.
Well, that's nowadays you don't even have a DVD player. Yeah. Well, back in those days, this was like I finally found the DVD some time whenever, but then I had to burn it because it was getting scratched, and so you try to go back to the original stuff, and then you got to find out which computer it was on, which is like Windows 01, and so that became a real big hassle. And even after he passed away, there was also the family photo album, where there's a bunch of photos where all of a sudden you don't have any idea who was who, and your great Uncle Bob is, I have no idea. So it was one of those things where everything is digitized. You can digitize anything you have, just take a picture of it, but you need some place to store it. So what we did is we got together with some IT guys I found here near Tacoma, and working through with a couple of places. One of the main places we like to store stuff is Amazon Web Services, and they also work with C3, whatever the heck they call it. I'm not the IT guy. I'm just a brain guy.
Yeah.
And anyway, so what you do is you buy a lifetime account of like 10 gigabytes to start, and you do one memory at a time. You take one. You got 14,000, so you have some time on your hands. So you take one of those memories, in your lifetime account, and you go click, and then basically you just put in a description of what it is, or you hit audio where you can actually tell a story about the picture. Yeah. Or you can use short little videos, or just basically click in and do like a daily scribe. It's kind of like a diary, and just put your thoughts down. I like talking into my phone, thinking about certain things, and I'll upload those. And then basically you arc it. Boom, it's now saved. And it's in, basically, we don't delete anything because you've basically bought the space.
And so how you said, did you say that in 1990? When did you say that you started this?
Well, I started thinking about it back in probably the early 2000s. My dad passed away in probably about 97 after I made that DVD, but then time goes by. I had kids, and now I have grandkids. And now it's just like, I want to be able to pass down some of those memories. And of course, nowadays it's getting better. Technology is catching up with us, and it's getting a lot better to be able to upload stuff. So,
what were you doing prior to starting MyArkit?
Oh, I was a electrician, as a residential electrician.
Yeah, was that your own business, or were you working for someone else as an electrician?
I worked for somebody for about 15 years, and then basically we partnered up, and then I was basically ran the business for about the last 5 years. And then I just now basically semi-retired, where I work MyArkit as much as I can to try to get people to. We just had another friend of my wife's. I hope she doesn't listen to this. And anyway, a real good childhood friend of hers just passed away yesterday. And it was one of those things, as you get older, I'm getting a little bit gray. You find that when somebody passes away, all those memories can be, you have those fleeting memories of when they were around, but of course your memories start to fade. And there's really no way of getting new memories. Like, oh, I'd love to be able to ask him about this, or even sometimes, like my wife said, I'd love to be able to just hear my dad's laugh, because he had a very unique laugh. Yeah. And it's just little things like that, be able to pass it down from generation to generation. And we have that technology today. We can do it.
That's such a great mission to preserve your lineage, especially. I mean, it'll be great for friends. We already kind of do that for celebrities and political figures and people that have been important to the history of humanity and the rest. But to be able to capture that for the benefit of like your whole family and friends is a fun and beautiful thing, and the perpetuity of it is really interesting, because it'll survive so much further beyond you as someone who started that business. So making that transition from being an electrician to basically, I guess you could call it a startup and creating a new business, you had kids at the time while you were doing that, yeah? Like in the early 2000s, you had kids that were probably, I'm going to guess, in their mid-teens, late teens?
Oh, 2000s, they were very young in the beginning of the 2000s. We actually incorporated in 2020.
Yeah.
And so by that time, my kids have grown, left the nest, and now I have grandkids.
Yeah.
And so basically, as you do the same thing now with everybody else does. You get your phone out, you go click, click, click. Everybody's got memories.
Yeah. And so when they were in the house, were you working as an electrician, or was MyArkit kind of already in your head and you were working on it then? What I'm getting at is trying to be an entrepreneur while you're parenting your kids, because it's like you just added another baby to your family.
It was it's almost like that really is. I kind of feel it as my baby, because I feel it. Yeah, I want to keep it alive and keep it growing. But I remember. I tell this story sometimes. It's like I was in the work van someplace out here in the Northwest, having lunch, waiting to go to the next job, and I remember eating a ham sandwich, and I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, how in the heck can I have all these things? Because now it became more popular to have a bunch of pictures and other stuff on your phone, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, how the heck are we going to actually be able to I don't want to just burn another DVD, or you have something on a thumb drive, or you have a backup drive, and because we go to some estate sales sometimes because I actually like to buy old vinyl, old records. Yeah. And then, you see stuff that's the last point where now they're going to be lost. You can see old photo albums. If nobody's going to buy a photo album from an estate sale, but then boom, it's just going to be, things are just lost over time. Physical things are just lost. It's kind of nice to have kind of a photo album you can actually show and share and things like that. But trust me, if you don't put something, digitize it, safe, like a safe deposit box or a vault, which we are, it's going to get lost in a generation or two.
Yeah, my father's house about 5-6 years ago burned down to the ground. Everything was destroyed. All the family photos, all the stuff. The stuff was gone. So you're starting over and not carrying any of that forward. I don't get it. My kids don't get it. Their kids don't get it. Had it been preserved in that kind of digital way, it's accessible always. And never gone. Not to mention my dogs have destroyed more than one photo album that was on our coffee table.
We've had couches destroyed, stairs destroyed. Oh yeah, we always got to break in the dogs. Yeah. Oh yeah, I've had many people tell me floods out east. I tried to look up my grandfather's service record. He was in the Second World War, and I heard he was on Guadalcanal. And I think he had the Bronze Star, but that's just fleeting memories from when I was a kid. So I'd like to be able to look up a service record. And when you actually look up some old service record, you find out a lot of them are actually missing because there was a huge fire, I think it was back in the 70s, that burnt for 3 days, something like that, back in Washington, that took a lot of records. So, even the supposedly the government records and certain records you think are going to be safe are not safe. And what we try to do is when we work with securing your data is it first goes through the ISP, Internet Service Provider, then it goes to Amazon Web Services, and then as we get a little bit bigger, we actually go off over to Iron Mountain, which is a huge data allocation service that's worldwide, just like Amazon is. And they're like, there were banks store their stuff. So we're going to have spot after spot after spot that actually saves your data. So if one place gets hit by something, there's going to be a backup.
Yeah, that's incredibly important these days. I was recently ransomwared and didn't have a backup to tell the ransomer to pound sand. I had to pay him like a quarter of a Bitcoin or something to get all my information back. And so we learned that lesson the expensive way. Mercifully, at the time, Bitcoin was only about $10,000. So, but back up for your bat. One is none, and two is one, forever. So what are your kids doing now? They've flown the coop, and are they local to Washington? There, or are they kind of all over the country?
I have one. We had two girls. I have one girl. My youngest daughter is still here in Seattle area, by Renton area, and she just got married about 1.5 years ago. And my oldest daughter, she's married, and that's a good one on that one. She lives out of Fort Drum in West New York State. She married a guy that went into the Air Force. So my two grandkids are out there in West New York. And her first name is Skye, S-K-Y-E. And guess who she married?
A pilot.
No, a guy named Scott Walker.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So
how fun is that?
Yeah. So what I did for her one time was, you know how you could go over and get on the internet and you could buy a little plot of land, from Scotland or something like that. It's kind of a conservatory thing, to where now you are a lady or an earl or whatever of your little plot of land.
Well, technically, 12 inches by 12 inches.
Right. Technically, if you own land, you can knight somebody. So I gave that name of the land as Jedi. So basically, she's a Jedi Knight Skywalker that can knight you.
Oh, you had to have so much fun putting that together.
It was hilarious because if you look at the in between the things, it's like she can technically do it.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Who knighted you? Skywalker. Oh, man. So, you're father to two girls. And how close together in age are they?
Oh, my two girls are about 3 years apart.
Yeah, that's mine are 12 months exactly.
Oh, wow. Didn't even give her a break.
Oh my gosh! The look on our face the second time when she pulled out that pregnancy test, and we just broke down in laughter. We just thought it was so funny. Like this doesn't make any sense how fast this is happening, but it was really hard. But it's gotten better. But I have my oldest is a 9-year-old girl. If you can, bring back those memories of having a preteen or a teenage girl, a couple of teenage girls. Can you offer me any advice or any warnings or things to expect?
Oh, teenage girls! Thank God you're married, and they have you're the mother to look up to.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do would be a good father role, and actually give them the father role is something for them to look up to in a husband role. To where if you're, you provide, you love your wife, you love your daughters. I've always had a dream. I'm always working on something. You're always working forward towards something, and always be able to have a conversation. About this, that, or the other thing. We can always sit back and just BS about anything. It's always kind of fun. That's the best thing you can do is just be a good dad.
Yeah. So, as a dad, I feel like part of our job is equipping our kids to go out into the world and be independent. And both of your children have done that. They're out and doing that. What are some of the characteristics that you really focused on as a father that you wanted to cultivate in your kids that they have now to kind of prepare them to be independent and be good, producers and add to humanity?
My oldest daughter, she had the opportunity when she was in church to do a trip down south with the group, a missionary trip, and she went. I think it was Ecuador. And I thought that would be the greatest thing for her to do. Number one, it was very independent for them kids to get together at that time and go down as a mission trip. But then you also were able to see how people are the same in different countries, but at the same time you can also look at the big differences of what we have here in this country. And that was kind of an eye-opening to her, saying, don't always complain about what you have around here because it could always be worse. But then you can always look at things that you can see can be better, and it could be, the glass is always place in their mind. The glass is always half full, not half empty. Always be on the positive, because things will. My oldest daughter had to have open heart surgery when she was 2.5,
Wow.
and she had a ventricular septal defect, which is basically a hole in the heart. A lot of sometimes kids have it. It's kind of an elective surgery, but you don't want to put it off overly too long because she had pneumonia a number of times, and it was just going to affect her. And if you get it done early, and she says she doesn't even remember anything except going down to the playroom when she was in recovery. But I remember sometimes when you think to yourself, it's like you're sitting there kind of feeling sorry for yourself because your daughter's going through open heart surgery and you're waiting outside the ICCU unit at the Children's Hospital, and you have the other mothers that are there that are with their kids and doing stuff. And mine was an elective surgery, even though it was open heart surgery. But then some of the other people, their kids were much, much, much worse. So no matter how bad you think you got it, somebody's got it worse. So don't always sit there and moan and groan about what you got. Somebody's got it worse. Be very appreciative about what you have.
Yeah, the old comparison is the thief of joy, they say. It's a great, great line. Tell me the difference in the role that you played. This is going to be fun for you, I think. But tell me the difference between being a dad and being a grandfather.
Oh, the best thing about being a grandfather is you get to give them back and go home.
Yeah.
You can sit there and you think about all the things you can teach the grandkids or something like that. It's just like how to flick boogers or something like that. So, and it's just it's almost like you're going through life as a normal parent, let's say as a parent instead of a grandparent, and it seemed to be like a little bit of a harder struggle, even though you had great times. But then when you have grandkids, it's almost like you have a second choice of just, baby them all to death type of thing. Let's take them here, let's take them there, let's do this, let's do that type of thing. And then if they start having too much trouble like your normal kids, it's just like, go back to your mom.
Yeah, I think about my kids, and 99% of the time, they're my best friends. They're amazing. They're so much fun. And then that 1% of the time, which I'm really proud of, but I hate it. I'm really proud of it, but I hate it. I have to be the disciplinarian, the one that corrects them, the one that can't be their friend anymore. I got to be the dad. And I feel like if you have grandkids, you can 100% indulge in the friendship part, the fun part, the silly part, without the...
Yeah, you do, but you still correct. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like don't do that. Your face will fall off or something like that. But it's I don't know. Maybe it's because when we get older, we have more patience. We don't. Not a lot of things are totally on our mind, like work and this and that. You're not going 600 miles an hour. It seems like you got a little bit more relaxed type of time, and you love to be around your grandkids. They're coming over, but then it's like after about 3 or 4 hours, it's like, when's your mom picking you up?
As somebody that worked throughout raising their kids, how would you describe your balance between being a dad and a husband and being, a provider, someone with a job, someone with a career, someone that started a business or owned a business?
How do I describe it?
Yeah, how would you describe the balance? Like, how did you feel balanced at the time? Did you have anything?
Sometimes your job or your career will sometimes take too much time, and you just have to notice that. I mean, you always have to have time for your family. I remember when we built this house. We found the property and we built this house, and I felt sometimes where I would work during the day, I'd come home and then keep working on the house, and then what I bought my wife one time was a picnic basket. And I says, all you got to do is just put something in the picnic basket, something to eat or drink, something like that, and come out to where I'm working, and I know instantly I should stop, and we have just have some time together.
What an amazing thing!
Yeah, something simple as that. Yeah.
What a fun, self-regulating but beneficial thing to do. That's awesome. Was there anything that you kind of have to take any dramatic steps to when life got kind of counterbalanced too much, like way too much work, not enough like paying attention to the family?
No, like I said, the basket worked great, and at the same time, since I like being around my family so much too, I like, I don't know, I just like spending time with them. You got to have that balance. You can't be on one thing, your brain 100% of the time. You got to give it a break. Yeah, and that's when I think, I don't know about women, but guys, you got to learn how to flip that switch, and now you're into a different mode. It's like going from one room to another room. You're now into, instead of working, let's go into regular husband or father, and boom, you just flip that switch and go into that mode, and don't worry about the other thing right now. It's not gonna, the house isn't gonna burn down, hopefully, and you can have that time.
So that self-discipline to, I don't know if compartmentalize is the right thing, or the quick ability to decompress or manage stress of work and then come home and leave it at the door and be with family is a terrific quality that I continue to try to work on all the time. But are there some other qualities or characteristics that you have that you're proud to have had as a dad that you felt like made you a good dad?
I guess this is one I kind of thought was kind of funny, was getting the kids to read. Mm-hmm. let them read and how to do math. So basically, let them read. I actually gave them a lot of my old comic books.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. Kids will learn how to read really quick if you give them something they want to read. And it's just like I used to have a bunch of old Spider-Man comic books, and we used to just, they'd read what they kind of wanted to read. Instead of, here, read this, or, you get some really boring stuff like, see Jane run type thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you give them something they want to read or they want to know about, they'll learn to read a lot quicker. And then the math part of it, I remember we used to sit down with a big bowl of pennies, and we'd play blackjack. And they'd have to sit there and add the numbers real quick. And you want to hit, you don't want to hit, so they all of a sudden have to learn math, and it's really fun because you're just playing with pennies. We put the pennies back, type of thing. So little things like that, where you teach them to learn how to do a little math or a little bit of reading, and then when you're always out in public, type thing, where you teach them to be courteous.
And that's just through practice and example, being an example to them, teaching them how to be kind and courteous to others.
Oh, you're always a prime example. If you're not, don't be a hypocrite.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be a hypocrite. It's like, do as I say, not as I do. It never goes over too well unless it's, maybe you're drinking a beer or something and they're 2 years old. No, you don't get a beer yet. You can have one later on.
How different do you think you would have been without the experience of having children?
Without having children?
Yeah.
I would have been a lonely soul. It would have been, life is one of those things about having children. It's an experience. It's part of life. It should be part of life. I know it's not part of life to everybody, but it's one of the most, it's the best part of life. Put it that way.
I completely agree. I feel like the best thing I'll ever do in this world is give my kids to it. I don't know that I could make any better addition to humanity than sharing them with it. Do you remember, and I don't want to couch this as being a genuine failure, but do you remember any failures you had as a business person or as a dad that you really, really learned a lot from?
We only got 45 minutes, huh? Well, my first, it's kind of like your first goals in life was I was going to be a photographer. So ever since I was in high school, I wanted to be a photographer, and I was a head photographer in high school. I got out of high school, then I went to automotive school because I wanted to have a backup career as I'm doing the struggling artist thing. So I went to automotive school. My dad used to be an auto mechanic, so did my grandfather. And so I had a backup profession there besides learning commercial photography on the side. And then I moved out to Orange County, California. Was a professional photography assistant with a fashion photographer out there for a couple of years. And then me and my girlfriend, wife-to-be, we moved up to Washington State, which we'd never been here before. We were both from Iowa because we love the mountains. And the largest hill in the state of Iowa one year was actually a corncob pile. That's how flat Iowa can be.
Yeah.
And so we moved up to Washington, and over struggles like that, I was able to open my photography business for a couple of years. And then we started having a family, and I was still doing the mechanicking. So I was, at some point, I had 3 jobs going. And so I stopped doing the struggling artist thing. And then eventually I had to get out of also doing mechanics work because it was bad on my back. So over the next couple of years, you kind of just do the little things here and there type of thing. And then one day I just said, well, I could just do something that not everybody else does, and blah, blah, blah. So I became a journeyman electrician for the next 20 years and retired doing that. So you go from, sometimes you got to go from a goal or something that you want to do, and sometimes you have to say uncle and do something else. Or you have to maybe pause it, but you always have to have something in front of you. Sometimes it doesn't have to be a career. It could be a side venture, a side hobby, or something like that. But have something out there that you just like to do. And if you don't have that little extra something to do, basically you're going to go home, sit in front of the couch, and do nothing. Even the yard, like the yard is part of me. my yard talks to me. You know, like, mow me, I look terrible. And so, you know, that's a little thing like that which I enjoy.
And it sounds like you've transitioned in a lot of different careers over the course of your life at different stages in life. The mindset it takes to go from one career to another, I'd imagine you had a different state of mind at each different transition. Could you maybe talk about the transition or the healthiest mindset you had during a transition and how that contrasts with maybe one of the lesser mindsets you might have had?
Well, because basically I chose to be an electrician because you're kind of sitting back going, oh, what do I do now? You know, my body doesn't want to do this, and I really don't want to be I was a commercial photographer for a while, so I didn't want to like be a studio photographer or something like that, or a portrait photographer or wedding photographer. I've done those kind of things. Those things I didn't like. So you know, sometimes you got to click and change your mindset. Going, okay, I'm going to be an electrician. Try it out. And basically, what an electrician does is, you know, you're an apprentice for 2 years before you can even take any test about moving up the ladder. And I enjoyed it. I loved that part of. You get onto a job site, and you have to think about the whole job. All job sites are different. All electrical. You know, can we run wires here, this way, that way? You know, I like that part of it to where it kept my mind busy on what was going on. It wasn't just, oh, here comes another car in for a tune-up or something. And automotive was fun too, because sometimes you have to diagnose what's wrong with the car. So I always like the brain thing going on, and it's just it's one of those things like always learn. Always ask questions. Never be afraid to ask questions. Always have good communication no matter what you're doing, and you know, have a fun time. You know, I always have a great time with my apprentices and stuff like that when we're working on a job site. You know, and I'd always say, I'm going to walk through something, I'll find a code violation. And it says the kitchen's got 2 code violations, and I won't tell them what they are. They have to go find them. And if they don't find them for each violation they don't find, they owe me a beer. So yeah, it's just one of those things. You transition to something else, and you have fun doing that. You got to have fun no matter what you're doing. It's a mindset. Even though sometimes it's drudgery on what you're doing, but you got to have a positive mindset, because you know you're part of the human race. You might as well have a good time.
Yeah, and not everybody has that instinctively, and some people, you know, we all have lulls and swells in life, but having that positivity that you seem to have maintained through jobs, whether you like them or not, or part of being a dad or husband you may or may not have liked, but you have that, you know, positivity despite the challenges. Did you ever deliberately get into like self-improvement practices, whether it was reading books or listening to a variety of people? Did you have any of those that kind of helped you maintain a positive state of mind?
Yeah, I've read some certain books on selling or some of the positive stuff like that before. And nowadays I'm a Christian, and basically it just you come from the realm of the golden rule. You do unto others, you have others do unto you, and you know that there'll always be a better life beyond this life. So you always have a good positive attitude.
So a lot of that is your lens through faith, which is a great segue into community. Being a parent, particularly. I know I'm imperfect as a human being. My wife is imperfect, and a lot of the benefits that my kids get from our environment or from our friends and the community or communities that we're a part of. Could you speak to the value of community in your life and your life raising 2 girls?
Community is very important. We used to live in town, and I know there's good and bad about any community, but we lived in town, and it was just out of happenstance that we had to find another place to live. And then out of luck, and you know, like people looking over us, we were able to luck out and find a couple acres out here in the woods, which is kind of in the middle of nowhere. The kids are kind of like going, you throw us, we're two blue blocks away from the mall, and now you throw us 20 miles out in the woods. And you get a different mindset, different communities. Like I said, they can be anywhere. You get a different feel sometimes, and sometimes I can walk. We live out in the country out here. It can be good and bad. You walk. Neighbors are walking by. They might be riding a horse or walking, and they're having a good time. And then somebody down the road, all of a sudden, dumps off a stolen car or something out in the middle of nowhere. So you still have the bad stuff out here. But we have a community that really kind of comes together. My wife has done a good job with that, where she kind of has the whole street community on Facebook together, to where something's happening. She said, "Hey, you see what's happening down there with the such and such?" And everybody will get together, and we might have to go have a see what's going on. But that one good thing about social media, sometimes you can come together as a community. Other times there's nothing but too much talk and not enough thinking.
Mm-hmm. When did you move from the city to the country?
90. We've been here 17 years. 99, I think it was. I remember
Your kids were about how old?
Oh, because we started. Yeah, we happened to be like not more than a mile and a half away from a grade school, so they were both in grade school. So they were 6, 7, 8, 9 years old.
Which environment did you think was, well, the differences in environment of raising kids in the city versus the country are pretty dramatic differences. What were kind of the highlights or lowlights of either?
Oh,
as far as like kids
the city, yeah, the city. I would think, because I kind of look back, because there have been a much higher crime rate in the city where we were, and you never know what they could have got into there. But it said you can always say, well, there's a higher crime rate, but at the same time, you could be out in the country and be involved with. When we came out here, there's somebody said, "Oh, don't go down that way. There's a meth trailer or something down over that way." And so it's just being. The schools were pretty good. Didn't have trouble with the school. They were pretty much just locked into teaching, and I don't know. It just always seemed like a very good community. Like I said, it could be. You could go into a community, you're in a spot where if you don't like it, you don't have a good feel for it, you can always move. Mm-hmm. And we had actually back in the city community, our neighbors were great people too. I think they were from the Philippines, so my kids really had a good time playing with them. And we had a library just right down the street, which was always a great place to go back in those days, where we always be getting books and stuff like that. So sometimes, like I say, I can't always think about the bad things there. I always love being out in nature more than being around. We were on the flight path for SeaTac Airport, and we were two blocks away from a shopping mall, and just too much city. Mm-hmm. And I like being able to look out, and I can't see my neighbors. I know they're out there. I can't see them. And if we could lose electricity, I can't even tell if my neighbors get their electricity back because I can't see their lights. So I like being out in the woods, more freedom, and not having my neighbor, 10 feet away. I just couldn't see. I remember one time we were doing a photography shoot in a marina in California there, in some fancy place like that. And at that time, I remember going, how much are these houses in this? Oh, they're like $1 million houses. And nowadays they're probably like $5 million. And I was amazed because you could walk down the sidewalk and you could touch each house. And I'm going, gosh, it's just don't. But you have the marina right there. You have your boat parked right there. So it's what you want. It was your lifestyle you chose, and people were really happy with that. But I wasn't. So we happened to luck into where we live now, and it's been and that's why we also named it Cana, where the first miracles were done by Jesus. So we named it Cana. It was our first miracle. Yeah.
Being a real estate agent, one of my favorite phrases that I hear from people all the time is, when I ask them how much privacy do you want? Do you want to be in a neighborhood, in the country? And they go, I want to be able to pee off my back deck. Like that's the litmus test. If they can pee off their back deck, then that's private enough for them. We're simple creatures, aren't we?
I can definitely attest to that because my dog, he does not know how to pee by himself. He'll come to me and go. It's like I even have a doggy door where he can go out. Both of my dogs can go out by themselves, and it's just like he comes to me and he like looks at me and goes, "Can't you go outside by yourself?" And it's just like, no. He looks at you. Oh, okay, come on. So probably 90% of the time when I'm home, probably more like 99% of the time I'm home, I will not go inside. I'll go out with the dogs.
Yeah, just like you're standing in the urinals next to each other.
Yeah, it's like you pick your tree, I'll pick my tree.
Well, as we're approaching 45, I'm going to quickly take a minute to plug Yellow Brick Road Studio, Carrie Molina. The art on the wall behind me, she's lent here, and I'm trying to have and feature local artists' work behind me on different podcasts in hopes of supporting local artists and selling their art. So it's carriemolina.com. And would you, I'll ask you a couple rapid fire questions shortly, but would
Sure.
you kind of plug yourself, where people can find you, learn about your company, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, websites?
Oh, sure. Our website is myarkit.com, myarkit.com. And you go to it, and it'll kind of explain what we do. And there's also some offshoots from that website called events@myarkit.com, which actually works fantastic for weddings and like yearbooks and family photo albums, things like that. And the great thing we have at myarkit.com is you just try us for free for 30 days. No card information is taken. You just go click, sign up to it, and you upload some stuff, and you kind of get a feel to what's going on. And it's kind of get a feel of going, I could see trying to save some of this stuff into the future. So myarkit.com.
In addition to being great for somebody who's motivated to do those things, it also sounds like a great gift for people.
It's a fantastic.
Yeah.
I got a new ad out right now for expectant mothers, to where my daughter got 2 life accounts for her kids, my grandkids, to where instead of trying to, you might upload a picture to, Facebook or someplace like that, first birthday, 5th birthday, blah, 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 like that. But as time goes by, but you also want to actually put some memories and some other information or whatever that you don't want to put on social media. And so you can actually give an expectant mother a lifetime account, and she can just basically put all the the kids' stuff in there until they reach 18, and then basically you give their lifetime account. You give it to them when they reach 18, and they can keep adding stuff to it.
I came across my baby book not long ago. I'm fortunate enough to have that. It's had a list of everybody that was at the baby shower, who gave what, had a piece of my first hair, stuff like that. Not that the piece of my first hair means anything, but it was cool.
So they'll clone you.
Great gift.
Yeah.
One of these days, I hope I'm worth cloning. I'm very important.
Exactly.
But,
yeah, a lot of times people will think about, as they get older, I should start putting my memories in there. I can see that just because I'm at that age. But at the same time, if you had something like this, because you only pay for it once, it's not a subscription thing. You pay for it once, you're done. You got your 10 gigabytes, and then you can add to it 2 gigabytes at a time. So it's just like, because basically a lot of what we do money wise when we sell that is we put it into the principal investment group, where it just sits there and collects interest. And it's invested, and that money basically pays for data storage.
Yeah.
So it can be sit there and grow and grow and grow. And we're a C corporation, so we can live into perpetuity. There we go.
That's a really clever. That's a really clever business model, and offering a great service.
Yeah.
All right. Let's hit you with some kind of rapid fire questions.
Go for it.
So this one, I haven't figured out a way to phrase it without it sounding kind of dark. But let's say 100 years into the future, when your kids are speaking at your funeral, knocking on wood, maybe it's 110 years. How would you hope they describe you?
How would they describe me?
Yeah.
I hope it starts with a good Christian. And then whatever follows after that. Funny, a good husband, anything else you can add to it. I mean, I don't know what they add to that. Liked a good beer. Like telling stories. I always like doing that. But just if anything, it starts with, he was a good Christian, and I'll be happy.
Awesome. What are 2 or 3 characteristics that you would hope every father would have, that in order to make a super dad, comic book,
Yeah.
what are three qualities that super dad has to have?
Patience. Patience. Patience, sense of humor, and curiosity. Because it's one of those things where you always want to, you find something fun to do or something, or, hey, let's go here, let's go do this. You have the curiosity, always think of something different. Don't always be stuck in your ways type of thing. So it's, it's just like, shut the TV off, let's go run around with the dogs or something, just, have
Let's
fun.
go be weird. Yeah, let's go be silly.
Weird.
Let's
Okay,
go be weird.
I thought I'd wear this shirt today. What the heck?
I love that shirt. It made me think that you were on a coast somewhere, but now I'm seeing mushrooms and all the rest. So this would be a fun question for you, I think. Suspend reality. Have no consideration for space, money, or time. If you could give a gift to every father on the planet, again, without regard to the limitations of time, space, money, or any other resource. It could be anything you could conjure. What is a gift that you would hope all fathers to have?
Well, of course, I'll put that in two segments. One would be the gift of Scripture, the gift of Christianity. Letting the kids know, I think that's very important. But that was kind of a given. So let's go right past that. A gift. Oh, golly gosh. It's got to be a gift of the gift of communication. You got to be able. Some dads are they don't talk enough to their kid. They don't talk enough with their wife, type of like that. So I think it'd be the gift of communication, the gift of gab, to where, hey, what'd you do today? What'd you do this? What'd you do that? Type of thing. You talk to your neighbor or something like that. Some people, we don't talk enough. Seems like a lot of times people are too much into their phones or their social media type stuff, and sometimes you need to kick back and smell the roses. Yeah. So gift of gab, gift communication.
When in your life do you feel the most loved?
When?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when I'm being hugged by my grandkids.
Grandkids. I love that. I love that. All right, now I'll leave you with one last question, which is a perfect question for you, considering that you are a master of storing such things. A message that you would share with generations of your family to come. What is something that you would like to say to your grandkids' kids and their kids and so on, in the event that this recording were to show up on MyArkit and they access it many generations from now?
Well, besides become a Christian, accept Christ, because I said that's a given. One of those I guess live your life with the golden rule. You're not the center of life, you're just part of life. And everybody has circumstances to where sometimes people complain too much about their circumstances, and they don't understand why that other people is in their circumstances. So sometimes you got to have a little more empathy towards your fellow man, type of thing. But at the same time, don't be bowled over by. You got to think. I got a good friend of mine. Don't try to be everything to everybody. Don't try to let everybody please everybody. You have to live your own life, and sometimes that means you have to not be friends with somebody or not totally agree with this person or that person. You have your life. You have your opinions. Have your opinion. Be nice to other people. Live your life.